Hello there, and welcome. Welcome, fellow cosmic travelers and seekers of the spiritual psychic path, livers of the spiritual psychic path. It's Psychic Cynthia here, spiritual psychic Cynthia Killian, and welcome to your Friday video. This is a forecast video, and I would just like to say right off the top, happy new moon in Aries. First new moon of spring is coming up this weekend. Yay! That is correct. We'll be having the first new moon proper, in spring proper, I should say, coming up this Sunday. And that's Sunday, April 11th, 2021. And I believe that will be exact at around 9:31 p.m. that night. So if you'd like to get precise, in my time zone, that's Central Daylight Time, USA. So if you're living in Europe, it's going to be quite a bit earlier in the evening there. But if you're in Eastern USA time zone, that would be, an hour later, 10:31 p.m. And for you all on the West Coast, I think that's going to be 6:31 p.m., assuming you observe daylight savings time. So anyway, Sunday night, we'll be having the new moon in Aries. And remember, when there is a new moon, that means the sun and the moon are in alignment. We're aligning here, I believe it's at 22 Aries, or is it 23? I'd have to check my notes, I might do that in a moment. But right around there, late degrees Aries. And Aries, it's so nice to have some Aries because this is fire energy. And for those of you who follow the cosmic patterns in the stars, you might have noticed that we haven't had much fire energy for quite a while, but starting with the recent equinox, which is the spring equinox for those of us here in the north, in the northern hemisphere. So when the sun entered Aries, we started to have some more fire energy, and it's nice to balance out some of the Aquarius, which is an air energy, sort of a quirky air energy, but it is. And then, of course, we've had a lot of the Earth with the Capricorn and the Taurus, but not any fire really, except for when the sun entered recently. Now we're going to have this new moon in Aries. So, before we even look at what is Aries, just think about fire. Think about like this fiery red I'm wearing, and think about the warmth of fire and the motivating forces of fire. And the sun is a symbol of fire. It's an actual fire totem in nature. Think about how nice it feels when the sun returns each year in spring. How that warms your bones and can get you moving again. So that's the kind of energy that's inherent in this new moon that's coming up. And by the way, again, I just want to say, this is happening, it will be exact on April 11th, but for those of you who are not familiar with the duration of these cycles, there's only one new moon a month. So if you're watching this video a little later, this new moon will be in effect for about, not quite 30 days, but about 28 and a half days until the next new moon. And I don't have that date right in front of me, but, basically we're looking at a month-long cycle. So think April 11th to approximately, the new cycle, you start to feel it a few days before. So let's just say April 11th to May 8th, okay? Because even if the next new moon isn't happening then, we're going to start to feel the new one by then. So just like I'm already feeling this new moon today, even though I'm filming a few days ahead of time. And, that's just because a lot of us experience these energies in advance. Not everybody. And some are early responders like me, and some just sort of feel it right on time, and then others feel it late. But the new moon cycle is at least a 1 month long cycle. And let me break this down for you further in terms of timing. It is a 1 month long cycle, but the peak of the energy for the new moon, in other words, the strongest impetus of these Aries energies, will be occurring in the first 2 weeks. And basically from the new moon to the next full moon. So think of this cycle, yes, of being a month long, but especially April 11th to around April 26th. And I believe that's going to be the date of the full moon. April 26th, give or take a few days, maybe even later. And what I mean by that, well, let's get back to Aries for a second here. Well, basically what I mean by that is this first 2 weeks of the new moon cycle, whatever sign it's in, it's a building phase. It's a time to get things rolling. So this is your monthly rebirth. This is true whatever sign it's in. So this is always a good time to start new projects. This is always a good time to have new beginnings and to get the ball rolling in the first 2 weeks of the new moon cycle. So again, those dates are April 11th to April 26th. So it's time to get going on those projects. Now this is more true, dear ones, more true right now because this isn't just any new moon. It's the new moon in Aries. And Aries is the sign of new beginnings. It's the first sign. This is a sign that carries with it great energy, enthusiasm, zest and zeal, motivation, get up and go. It is an energizing force. So we're all feeling that to some extent in some area of life. You will feel that. And I do find it's a very physical sign. I know we often think of the earth signs as being physical, but fire has a physicality too, and especially Aries. Aries is the impetus to physically incarnate. It's the bursting forth of that seed, the splitting open, the manifestation, the first primal manifestation. That is Aries. So what is it? You know, if you have desires within you that are in a seed state, but are there any that are wanting to burst open? Does that seed want to crack open? You know, what do you want to really get done to start with? And this is beginnings, okay? Not just because it's a new moon cycle, but because it's Aries. It can also be, you know, going back and dealing with some things you've been putting off because, I mean, I think the new moon gives us energy to get things done. And with Aries being very physical, Aries is ruled by Mars. So Mars is very physical. And Mars, he is the planet of war, yes, and conflict. But he also has sort of a connection with construction and projects and, you know, pounding and sawing and just, you know, getting things done again. And I've been feeling this definitely because I've been out here in the garden today, and this is the kind of thing I don't usually do, but I felt inspired. We need a lot of work on the fence out here, and unfortunately my handyman retired this year, and my husband's not really into doing this kind of work, so I don't know. Some of it we're going to have to hire out. I'll have to find a new handy person, but I don't know. I just started fixing some of it myself. I've been pounding and hammering. I think it's just because I'm feeling that Aries energy. You know what I mean? So we'll see how long it lasts. And that's the other thing about Aries energy. It's great for getting things started, for initiating, but it's not a really good anchoring long-term energy. Now, luckily, after the Aries new moon, we'll have a Taurus new moon, and the sun will enter Taurus in not too long from now, you know, in mid-April. Well, a little bit past mid-April, actually. But the sun will enter Taurus, and that's grounding and has more steadfastness. But do be aware and wary. I should say it's a warning here. Do be aware and wary of biting off more than you can chew. I think with Aries energy right now, I mean, you're so motivated. You have so much passion and zest and zeal. So yes, take advantage. Get going on those projects. But, you know, if you can, try to not bite off more than you can chew. And I think it would be really good and wise for you to consider tackling a micro project rather than a major project, which major projects might consist of micro projects, but think about things that you can accomplish rather quickly, because that's what Aries likes. You know, like, I'm not trying to fix my whole fence. I know that I can't do that, but there's some boards that I can nail in. I'm okay with the hammer. Now, power tools gets pretty scary, but you know, so it's just a little micro task, you know, which, by the way, most of these micro tasks are not so micro. They require more effort than you thought, right, when you get in. But the point is to get in and get going, get the experience, and don't be afraid to launch out on a new path, or to be more self-reliant, to try new things. Like I've been, trying new things, nailing on this fence. What is this like? I mean, the worst that can happen is I can mess it up and then have to hire somebody, which I'll probably have to do anyway. So to do the stuff that, requires more knowledge. So, there's things that you can do in your own life, right? Things that, you can get started right now. And don't worry so much about the parts you can't do today. I mean, don't let that stop you from doing what you can do, because Aries is very much a can-do sign. It's not a whiny sign. It's not a wimpy sign. It's not, it's not about sitting around and waiting for others to rescue you, okay? It's great to be receptive. And we've had some time to work on those issues of surrender and receptivity with all the Pisces energies we've had recently, earlier in the spring, late in the winter. But now it's time to get up and get in the game again, okay? And be courageous. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in you, it's really hard to attract the help that you need. I mean, give yourself a little kernel of faith, and yes, get going on these projects. The energy is available now, especially between April 11th to April 26th, but to some extent all the way, to around, let's say, maybe even May 11th, certainly May 8th. So you've got a long cycle here, a long window of new beginnings. And again, think short term. I mean, for any new moon cycle, you should only think for a cycle of a few weeks or 3 to 4 weeks, because that's how long it lasts. But I think for this one, maybe even dividing it up into two-week cycles would be good. I mean, I'm actually getting ready to teach a new rune course, and guess how long it is? 2 weeks, okay? It'll be the shortest rune course I've taught to date, but it seems right. That is appropriate for the energies being what they are, and I'll start that on the 21st. So that's good, right? I'm right inside of that window. I'm starting on April 21st. And by the way, you're welcome to join me. The runes kind of do have an Aries connection if you think about Aries and Mars being connected to the Vikings, and the Vikings had a lot of Aries energy in their own way. So anyway, I digress. But for you, think in this, 2-week cycle, what could you get done in the next 2 weeks? And then maybe there's some other stuff you want to do 2 weeks after. But it's a real thrust of energy, momentum. Don't waste it, okay? Don't waste it. This isn't the time to be twiddling your thumbs. Get in there, learn something new, create something, fix something, do something. That is what Aries is about. Okay, well, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to my Psychic Cynthia YouTube channel. For those of you who like to read, I also have a cosmic newsletter, and you can check that out or get subscribed on my website at cynthiakillian.com. Killian is spelled like million, but with a K. Alrighty. New moon blessings to you all. Until next time.